everyone. Welcome to Sonographers in the Cities. I'm Lynn.
And I'm Giselle.
Thank you so much for tuning in and listening or watching. For our podcast, we have reached over 8,500 downloads. So we want to thank you so much for just joining us on this journey.
Yes, thank you guys so much. I can't believe it. It's so exciting, that we're growing, and I appreciate every single one of you guys that listen. Still keep on sending us your messages and show us like what it is that you guys like about our podcast, and we definitely we want to improve for you guys. So thank you guys for listening, and I can't believe it's already the end of June, honestly.
Yes, this is the last episode of June. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So today, last episode of the month, we're going to do Q&A, and Lynn has a bunch of questions that you guys had sent in for us to answer, and they're pretty good questions. What do you think?
They are. Like always.
Yeah. So definitely you guys keep on having the questions come to us, because we're going to do this once a month. And we did have an Instagram live. I don't know if any of you guys saw it, but if you didn't, it's over on my page. And we also answered your guys' questions live too. So if you guys like that as well, we can keep doing stuff like that, because we were actually surprised at how many people came to that too.
Yeah, they came and asked a lot of questions that was answered by our episodes. Mm-hmm. So it's really fascinating to see how your questions are aligned with what we're bringing for you. So it's good to see that happening.
Yeah, it was funny because we were like, oh, that we just talked about that, or that's on our episode. So I hope you guys spread the news about our podcast and how it's super helpful, and keep posting about it and sharing the podcast with everyone. And yeah, we're here for you guys, and hope you guys enjoy all the content.
Yes. So let's get started on our Q&A.
Yay.
Our first question is, how is lgtbq in the Sono community?
It's June.
Pride Month.
Yay! So happy Pride Month, everybody. Yes, I don't know if you guys saw, but I went to a Jonas Brothers concert recently. You guys probably saw. But somebody in the audience threw up a rainbow flag, and Joe grabbed it, and he was waving it, and it was so cute, and he put it on their piano, and it was just so cute. And then after their concerts were over, DNCE, they went and flew to, I believe it was DC, and they performed at the Pride Festival. So that's really cool. But Lynn and I were talking about this question, and, it's a very, I feel like not that many people talk about that in our ultrasound community. So it's a good question to ask and for us to talk about. Since I've been in the ultrasound world a little bit longer than a lot of you guys, I do work with actually a lot of lgtbq plus people, and nothing is different. I feel like it's the same exact road that they go on, and I feel like they're welcome with open arms, especially in the healthcare field, because we really don't discriminate in general. Like, you as a healthcare worker are helping patients no matter what race, gender, no matter what ethnicity or political views somebody has, right? And I feel like in the healthcare community, it's the same as well. My coworker, who I worked with for a long time, and he's been a sonographer for a very, very long time, he'll tell you too, that he enjoys his job, and he's been in his career for a very long time, and he's over there in the ER, and he's like scanning vaginal exams all day, and there's no problem. He enjoys doing what he does, and for what I've seen, it's been really good. What about you?
I thought it's good too. My classmate is part of the LGBTQ plus community, as well as my mentor, who is my favorite. She's, I love her. She loves her job. She loves the department that she works in. So from my perspective, I don't see there's any problem at all.
Yeah.
If anything, it just makes it better.
Mm-hmm. Very diverse. I think in ultrasound, there's a wide variety of people from all walks of life, all different races, genders, and yeah, definitely, we obviously can't speak upon that community in our sonography community, but, if you can find people who are part of it, and I'm sure we could probably find people who are part of it who want to talk and share about it, because, like I said, we can't speak upon it. Definitely let us know, and we can have you on the podcast too and talk about it, because that's really a good conversation. And I think we don't want to leave out anybody, but just remember that the possibilities are endless. And if you want to do this, no matter what, you should do it just because you have a passion of helping people and you want to do this career. So, yeah, if you have any questions, let us know and we'll
Yes,
answer them for you.
definitely. Next question. How long did it take you to be comfortable enough to do a full protocol? So I'm guessing this is clinical experience. Just how long did it take you?
So, I mean, in lab, they taught us in lab all the protocols that we were going to learn in, the hospitals around town. So, I mean, I was able to do a full abdomen protocol in lab already, like maybe after a few weeks, because what they did for us was they taught us a protocol, let's say venous, for example, and then we would practice, 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 and then you get tested on it. So at that point, like, you basically can do the full protocol, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're talking about lab, like, I could do it on a normal person pretty quick and easy, but that took maybe a few weeks. So, some people it'll take longer, but it only took me a few weeks. And some people can pick it up fast and some people take longer. So, it doesn't really matter how fast somebody picks it up. It's just that you actually get it. What about you? I guess I'm a fast learner.
You are. It sounds like you are. And you're a visual learner too.
Yeah,
It seems like.
because like I'm not really good at like textbook stuff, but like when it came to learning the vascular protocol, like, I mean, I got that pretty quickly. And then, like, in order to pass our lab and graduate, we had to do a full protocol. So I would say being comfortable in knowing a full protocol would be a few weeks. And we only did lab for one whole semester. So it
I
took,
see.
take what a whole semester, maybe 3 or 4 months. It still takes time. What about you? What was your first protocol?
For
Cardiac?
me, my first protocol, like in clinicals, because labs for me, unfortunately, it's not like what you have experienced. My
Yeah.
lab was like they taught me the basics of the basics. So just, you know, anatomy, and then so say like carotid.
Mm-hmm.
Was it in clinicals? It would be proximate distal. In my lab, it would just be anywhere on the carotid.
Oh, okay.
So it was very, very basic. And when I went to clinicals and I had to learn all the details, it took me, I would say, I'm not counting segmental pressures.
No, just do protocol. That's good. Just the
But
scanning
I
protocol.
think it would take me about 2 months,
Mm-hmm.
because I think the um, the frequency of how many days you're there
Yeah.
per week matters, because
Mm-hmm.
I was there my first quarter 2 days a week.
Okay.
And then that's so 2 months of 2 days a week.
Yeah.
I was able to do my
Okay.
full carotid of 56 images.
Wow.
But it's also dependent on your preceptor too. Like I had
Mm-hmm.
very good preceptors who was just helping me through when I get stuck at the distal ICA. It was like, I can't get this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I think it's a combination of both
Yeah.
to get you to do a full protocol.
Right. Because I mean, the question asks too, like, how long did it take for you to be comfortable? Like, we could know
Mm-hmm.
it, but like, were we really comfortable? And I mean, for you, like, you were doing clinicals, like you said, twice a week. I was doing clinicals 5 days a week, and I was doing 8 to 10 hour shifts. So I was scanning. And when they put me on carotids, like, the first thing I learned was carotids in the clinical. When they put me on that, I was doing all the carotids every day. That's all I was doing. So I basically was able to do a
That's
full on
amazing.
carotid. Yeah, after like a month, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of cool how they did it, because they were like, okay, you do carotids, and then that's it. You do all the carotids, you learn as much carotids, you get all the crazy, torturous, high stenosis, plaque carotids, and then you move on to venous, and then you do venous for a few weeks, and then you do venous plus carotids, you know, and then you go up to renals and abdomen. So it definitely depends on how long you're scanning, but really the comfortable part of it is once you are able to do it without any help and you understand it. I think 2 months is pretty good, especially if you're scanning over and over and over again.
Yes.
But like I
And
said,
it's like for my site too, or my program, it's not structured like yours.
mhm,
I structured it for myself
mhm,
because there was no structure.
yeah,
Like whatever studies come, I watch or I scan.
yeah,
And so when I started with segmental pressure and then carotids and then slowly lower extremities and then upper extremities. So I did
mhm.
that for myself. So I just
That's
like
good.
specifically focus on that. And
Yeah.
I got comfortable. I remember it was after my first time doing a full protocol with my preceptor sitting on the side. And she was, doing her own thing. And I was like, can I move on to the left side? And then she's like, yes. And then I finished. And then after that moment, I was like, okay, I can do a full protocol.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See how it's cool how it like just clicks. I remember those days too where I'm like, wow, I did that. And I mean, it's also kind of interesting too, because like you said, what I wanted to talk about was that yours was all different, and like you don't know when something's coming. You don't know if a carotid's next, a venous, and an arterial, or for me, like, oh, an abdomen or a pelvic. Like, but in my hospital that I was at, there were so many exams that I was able to bunch up like 5, 6 carotids, 5, 6 venuses, 5, 6 abdomens in a day. And as a student, you're taking a much longer time than a regular sonographer. As a
Mhm.
student, you're maybe taking almost an hour with each exam. So it's all up to you. Just make sure you're practicing a lot. And if you need help with your protocols, ask questions. Don't be afraid.
Yes, definitely. What was your hardest class in the DMS program?
Mm.
Do you remember your hardest class?
I mean, for me personally, hardest class was always physics.
uh,
Yeah. Everything else was like okay, but like
mhm.
physics was always the hardest for me to understand. And I think that'll probably be a very common answer for a lot of people, unless you really understood physics. But I think you really understood physics, didn't you? Like
I don't remember it anymore.
anymore. Wait, like you were doing fine in it, weren't you?
I
Yeah.
was. My hardest class, it wasn't physics.
Yeah, what was
It
it?
was vascular one.
Mm.
Only because of how the curriculum of our program is.
Hmm.
So that quarter, we had Echo 1, Physics 1, and Vascular 1.
Yeah.
And I felt like with vascular, you have to know physics before you do vascular. And they
Hmm.
just jumbled, the first course of
Everything.
everything together. So
Wow.
vascular, I felt like I was learning backwards.
Hmm.
Like my first class was hemodynamics. And for physics, we didn't learn hemodynamics until
Later.
class 2.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, so it's hard.
that was really hard. And we did virtual learning, so
Oh,
no
on top
help
of
at
that.
all. So that was
Yeah.
like that was my biggest struggle.
And if you look at it too, I mean, vascular is a lot of physics. So then,
Mhm.
physics and vascular, those are probably two of the top hardest, I think, classes, I would probably bet. Because
And
when you,
also the registries.
Oh, yep. They do say physics and vascular or something. I mean, some people say physics is easy, but I'm like, dang, you. I mean, you've got to understand it that well to be able to say it's easy, right?
Mhm.
So that means good job because you're studying well and understanding it. But like for me, it was super hard, but it's okay. I'm sure you'll pass all your tests.
Soon. I have a couple months left. I'm so
Yay!
excited. I just want to take it already.
I know, almost there.
How friendly is the healthcare field to minorities?
You got some hard questions
Yes.
coming your way. And like people who are working, like how are we interpreting this question? Like
Yeah,
the healthcare
I
field,
think so. Just like
like
how like with minorities in as healthcare
as
workers,
healthcare workers. Oh, okay. How
right? I'm
friendly? I
interpreting this.
mean,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean it's very friendly
yeah.
because it's a very diverse
I mean,
demographics of healthcare
right.
workers out there.
I'm wondering too if it depends on where you live or where you. But I don't
Yes.
know because I live in such a diverse community. Like Las Vegas, I can only speak upon here and where what I've seen, and it's just so diverse, like in general. And even if you look on like Facebook groups, like Sonographers Do It in the Dark and Just Sonography and my Facebook group, like everyone is from all different walks of life, which is we're all trying to live life and do our job and take care of people. I think that I feel like everyone's been friendly, you know. There are probably those few people like on Facebook who are like really mean, you know, but
The trolls.
yeah, I don't know, you just let them do whatever they do and but I don't know, I've never really seen issues. If anybody has, you know, something that they want to share or like, you know, let us know, you know, in the DMs and we'll talk about it. But
I think it really depends on the demographics, like the
mhm,
location, where they are with like the population of
right.
people who live there and how it has been. Because
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah, like I
it,
don't know about small towns. Like I don't know
like
what it's
rural
like.
towns in Midwest, I definitely can't speak for that, so I
Yeah.
don't know.
So we got to find some people
I know.
from those towns. If y'all are in towns where people aren't friendly, I don't
Please
know.
let us know.
Yeah, let us know. I mean, this is Sonographers in the cities. So we'd love to have you on.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I mean, in my experience, everyone's pretty friendly. So I haven't really had issues with that.
I mean, you're friendly yourself, so
Oh,
it's hard to be not friendly to you.
oh no. Oh my goodness. No, yeah. I mean, but also seeing from the outside perspective, yeah. I mean, I think issues stem from other things that has nothing to do with people being a minority group or something like that, you know? I don't know.
I agree.
If you have like any more specific question, whoever asked that, like let us know because I mean, I guess that could be interpreted in another way.
All right. What should you do if your patient is someone who's abused you in the past? These are tough
I
questions.
know. Like, what's going on, everybody? What should you do if your patient is someone who's abused you in the past? That's kind of scary. If that's your patient,
Shouldn't,
I mean,
if patients are like that, shouldn't you report them? And there should be like a list of like, just like a no fly list,
I,
but like a
I'm
list
yeah, I'm
in there, shouldn't there?
assuming.
Does your hospital
I
have
mean,
that procedure in place?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't really I haven't experienced that. I'm not too sure. Like, you know, like for example, if it's somebody you know, right? I've never had to scan somebody I've known, you know? So I feel like
Wait,
I just don't
they
know.
abused you as yours as their sonographer, or they abused you in your life?
Right. See, that's why I'm like, maybe you should ask
Because
them.
because I'm thinking that patients who have abused you in their previous appointments or something,
Oh,
as you're as their sonographer.
okay. Not
That's
like someone you
how
know.
I'm interpreting this,
Okay. Okay.
but I don't
I mean, that's a
know.
it could be. I could be wrong too. So then a patient who you scanned before, who abused you as the tech, as you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. Not someone you know, like outside of
that is
work.
how I'm interpreting.
Okay. Okay.
Because I feel like you can't scan someone you know, can you? Or
I
like your
mean,
relatives?
I'm sure it's happened before in small towns. I've never had to scan my family member.
That's true.
But or someone I've known in that case.
Okay.
But also, I work with
Yeah.
multiple people, so if somebody was to come in, I'd be like, "Hey, can you scan them? Because I don't feel comfortable." You know,
Mm-hmm.
you could do that. Um, but if you're the only one there, I could see why that's a problem. Like if you're the only sonographer that can
Yeah.
scan this person, and it's like, what should you do? So I think if anything,
This question can be interpreted in many ways.
yeah, I
So
think it's an ethics problem, right? An
yes.
ethical issue. So
Mm-hmm.
if that's the case, and you know before that, like beforehand that person's coming in, like let's say they're on an outpatient list, and you know this person abused you in the past, like can't you report that in advance? You know what I'm
Or
saying?
you can just tell your supervisor or whoever is like you're not
Right.
comfortable scanning them, so you can have
Yeah.
someone else scan.
Hmm.
But then what if you're the only one, like you said?
Yeah. So I mean, I think it should be brought up first and foremost to the supervisor
Mhm.
and the ethics and compliance officer or something like that. Usually hospitals and places have that. Now, if you're like at a doctor's office, I really don't know what you would do in that situation, honestly, because you're the only one. And that's tough. You just have to remember you're doing your job, at the end of the day. And you need to, your safety is a priority too, just as much as it's the safety of the patient as well. I don't know. I feel like that's more of a like specific question that
Mhm.
somebody should have more details to. So if
We
you
need
ask
more
that question,
context.
if you ask that question, please let us know because we want to help you and we want to give you the right answers. So it's kind of hard when we have like no backstory, you know?
We need context.
Yeah. That one, please let us know. Hopefully you're listening.
Hardest part about reading a sonogram.
Gas. Just kidding. I don't know.
I
Hardest
agree.
part when there's gas in there.
I agree. That's what
Hardest
I'm
part.
struggling with right now.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like because like what's the hardest part about it? I mean, you learn normal.
Mm-hmm.
So then when you see abnormal, you know what it is.
Yes.
So the hardest part of reading it is kind of like
It's
getting
like
around the
so the
hard
hardest
gas.
part of it is when you can't see.
Yeah. Because usually you can see, but like when
Mhm.
you can't, then you're like, ah, like you're like, I can't see it. That's the hardest part.
I agree.
Yeah.
Or like
You
when you try to maneuver and to get different windows, different
mm,
views.
mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. Because like when it's saying reading a sonogram, like I'm wondering if it's like, we interpret our images, but like the radiologists are the ones that are reading it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, I mean, hardest part about reading versus like doing the ultrasound. See how these questions are so
Yes.
funny.
So if we're reading about it, I would
Yeah.
say I don't know because like you learn so much in class and in your program that you learn all the possibilities of pathologies
Right.
because I feel like it's a
You know what the hardest part would be, I'd say?
what?
Well, I mean, for me, it's like describing stuff because you have to describe what you see. I don't think you do that in cardiac.
No.
Yeah. So in general, like if you see the liver and the kidneys and the gallbladder and the spleen and there's like something going on, like you have to read it and understand like, okay, is the ecotexture heterogeneous? Is it isoechoic?
I
Is
learned
it
that this week.
hyperechoic?
I learned
Or
about I don't know if you know the abbreviation, but SALT.
no. What's that?
So it's like size, shape, crap, uh,
S
acoustic
A
characteristic,
uh-huh. L
location,
uh-huh.
and transonicity.
Translucency? Just kidding. I don't know.
Transonicity.
Transnicity?
Yes.
Physics?
Hypo. I don't know anymore.
It's an
But
acronym to help you.
yes, it's
describe.
supposed to describe every
Mm.
organ that you see in the abdomen.
Right.
So it's very different from vascular and echo.
Yep. Okay. So, I mean, because cardiac, you just do like numbers, right? And you're like checking to see regurgitation. You in the machine, you measure things.
Yes.
But for general and let's say OBGYN that you are learning now, you have to describe everything. Is it heterogeneous? Yes. Is it isoechoic to the liver? Is it edematous? Is it enlarged? It's hard sometimes when you don't know how to describe things. You're like, how do I say this? Me and my coworkers all the time were like, how would you say this? Or like, what would you say about this? So that's the perks of working with others.
Multiple brains is better than one.
Yeah. Anyway, next question.
It's been a long time since I last studied A&P at uni, so anatomy and physiology. Any tips on what to review before I start a program? I feel like this can totally relate to our 2 episodes before of what to do before you start a program.
Yeah, so listen, if you haven't listened to that episode yet, go ahead and listen to that. So any tips on what to review before you start a program? We did talk about it. We're telling you, you don't really need to, honestly, but if you want to, obviously location, location, watch some videos, review some physics. I mean, you probably haven't done physics yet because you're still going into your program, but listen to that episode. We give a lot of advice. I mean, I didn't do anything before I started my program.
I enjoyed my time off.
Yeah. So enjoy your time off.
Yes. But if you really want to study, just know that ultrasound anatomy is different than regular anatomy.
Yes.
So
A&P teaches you like functions and everything all the way up to cells and molecules, whereas ultrasound anatomy teaches you, okay, where is it at? What does it look like? How is it going to look if something happens to it? And, what processes are happening if something abnormal is happening. So, like, if the gallbladder has gallstones in it, what's happening? What's the potential of happening? Oh, your CBD is going to dilate. Oh, you might have pain in the right upper quadrant area, sharp stabbing pain that radiates to the back. Like it's a little bit different. You don't really learn that in A&P.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, lots of other things you're gonna learn. So, but listen to that episode; it's a good one. Yeah. And last question.
How do you handle when the radiologist or doctor doesn't agree with your findings?
It's a good one. That's actually a very good question.
These are all good questions. How do you handle that? Or has that happened to you before?
Oh yeah, lots of times. Well, we're always like, hey, we're the ones doing the exam. Like we see it, this is what we think it is. But at the end of the day, they're the doctor, they're the radiologist. It's their initials that are on the exam. It's their license that's on the line, not ours. So, they kind of have to decide what they think it is. But generally, like if you see that they've made a mistake, sometimes it's a mistake. So you should talk to the radiologist. I've had many times where I've had to talk to the radiologist like, hey, this, and like you just have a conversation with them. So how do I handle it? I talk to them, I explain to them what I saw or what's happening with the patient, all the symptoms and how the patient's presenting, what their history is, if you're able to, and then talk to them. And they are the ones that have a multitude of knowledge too. Like we have a lot of knowledge, but also they do too, right? And so if they don't agree with me, then that's them, right? So, I mean, I did what I did as a sonographer. I took the images. I believe there was sludge in there, but they don't believe that. So, at the end of the day, you did what you could. But it's they kind of have the last say, I feel like. Even if you were I mean, don't argue with them, like just kind of talk to them professionally, ask for their advice and tell them what you found. But at the end of the day, they're the doctor. And that's what we always say, like, we're not the doctors. We could completely miss something, or we could be completely wrong too. You never know. It goes both ways. Like, cuz I feel like if they are wrong too, like they are humble enough, some of them, to be like,
If
"Oh, yeah, you're right, Giselle. Like, I see what you're saying. Okay." And then they can make an addendum and they can change it, which we're very lucky in my hospital that we can talk to our radiologists at any time of the day and have the conversation with them, and they'll give us feedback. And I don't know, what about your experience? Because you mostly work with what, cardiac doctors who read their cardiac exam?
um yes,
Yeah.
it depends, like, because my sites are different and I haven't had this experience
Yet.
yet. But I was just thinking, how can I, not prevent this from happening, but kind of like have a backup just
Mm,
in case it happens. Like for me, what I would do is, obviously, if I don't know, or if I'm unsure of anything, I would definitely get someone to have a second eye.
mhm.
And then just like how you previously said, just like what did you hold on, like what did you said when you're like with your coworkers? I was like, I don't know, I'm looking, can you?
Oh, yeah, like, can you look at it, or can you
Yeah,
kind of, like,
so it's like
you
you
ask
can
them
have,
for help,
yeah, so
advice?
like it's not just you, but you also have your coworkers opinions and judgment too, and you came
Mhm.
to that conclusion, so
Right.
there's two of you to back up what you found.
Yeah. I mean, we do that all the time. We're like, "Hey,
Yeah.
do you think this is real? Hey, what is this?" Like, But we are lucky to do that because, we don't work by ourselves, and there's some people who
Hmm.
work by themselves who can't do that. So, like, if you can't do that with somebody else, you have to have a relationship with your radiologist or doctor and be able to communicate with them, because at the end of the day, you're doing this for them, and they're going to have to go back to you and ask you. Remember, you're their eyes, and you're basically helping them figure out what's going on. So if they don't agree with you at the end of the day, just take it as it is. And,
Hmm.
you can get frustrated all you want, but it doesn't change the fact that they don't agree with you. You
Yeah,
just
and
you have to
it's
move
what you
on.
saw,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And that's okay. I've actually had lots of patients that fly into our hospital because another place said they had gallstones, and then, like, I don't see any gallstones. So, and that doctor believed that sonographer who saw gallstones, right? Because the sonographer saw gallstones, then the doctor agreed with that person. I don't know if what happened, but they came to me and I didn't see any gallstones, so it just happens, and you kind of have to just go through it one scan at a time. People are going to disagree with you, though. I'll tell you that. There's going to be times a cardiologist is going to be like, "No, I don't agree with that," or they'll say something completely different on their paperwork. It happens every day. Like, we mention stuff and they don't mention things, and it happens all the time. So,
I just remembered
mm,
because in my last site, for echo, I did measurements, and some of my measurements later when I write reports, I noticed that the doctor kind of like adjusts the measurements a little.
yeah, to see, like, over.
I was like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
you
Sometimes
know.
we'll measure masses, and then they will, like, remeasure the mass. And, like I said, at the end of the day, they're the doctor,
Hmm.
and they get to ultimately decide. Now, if you really think, like, they really made a mistake, or if you really, really think that you are right in whatever you found or whatever you did, yeah, definitely fight for that patient. Maybe they forgot, maybe they missed it, who knows? But always, always figure it out, you know, do your best. As long as you're taking the images that they need, you did your job. Don't make it any harder on yourself. Hopefully that answers that question. It happens all the time in general sonography. Half the time we say something they don't say, and I'm like, okay. That's fine. You're the doctor. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. There are so many questions and we really wanted to get through all of them. So thank you guys.
Yes. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for those of you who wrote us 5 stars review. If you haven't and would like to, please give us 5-star reviews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We would greatly appreciate it. And please keep sending us your messages when you're tuning into our podcast, because it's coming more now. I'm getting more messages. I can't speak for Giselle, but I'm getting more messages saying that you guys love the podcast. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Just let us know if we can do anything for you, or if there's a specific topic you want to talk about, and we can do that. We do have so many we have so many ideas and just a little time, because we want to talk and keep it to 30 minutes, but we can talk a lot, and we just want to make sure your guys' questions are getting answered. But yeah, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys and talk to you guys in the next one.
Thank you. See you in July.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.